hello to the entire audience of Live, and thank you so much for watching these shows. And I hope you guys are also learning from it. We're also planning to bring out Live clips where we'll be posting a 1 minute, 2 minute short videos also, so that you can it can be easily consumed by you. Today we have got a very interesting session, and most of us take medicines without ever thinking about the years of research, testing, and safety checks that happen behind the scenes. Um, think about it. The last time that you took a medicine, did you think, like, where did it originated? How was it tested? You just trusted it. You took the medicine, took the water, and it's done. But there's a lot that goes behind it. So before a new drug reaches a patient, who ensures that it's safe? Today, we are joined by Dr. Pallavi Tripathi, whose career spans across hospitals, infection control, clinical research organizations, global pharmaceutical companies, and medical monitoring. Dr. Palvi, the first thing is that if I ask you that, can you explain your job to a 10-year-old kid? How would you describe what you do?
How do I describe what I do to a 10-year-old? Okay. So I am a medical monitor in clinical trials for past 10 years. For a 10-year-old, I will tell that I monitor the health of the patients when the drug is in trial phase. The drug is not proved to be effective. Drug is being given experimentally to patients and we monitor those patients' health. So that is what I do shortly.
Okay, then the kid will get kind of worried. He will think that, you kind of try and test it on
Yes,
people.
yes. When it is tried and tested, basically it's a very long journey. First, it is tried and tested on animals, which is called preclinical testing. And
Yeah.
then it is tried and tested on human beings, which is called the clinical trials. So I'm a doctor for the clinical trials and they are preclinical scientists. And before that, the medicine is in the labs where the molecules are actually found. So they are different scientists. They are chemistry scientists. So these are the stages to which the drug goes through before actually the patient starts taking it.
And what are the different phases of a clinical trial like? Where does it start? Where does it end?
Broadly, there are 4 phases of clinical trial: phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4. Now, phase 1 is this pharmacokinetic trials. So they are usually in very small number of subjects. We just see the bioavailability of the drug, how much of the drug is getting reabsorbed. So it will have 20, 30 or less number of patients. Then phase 2 are the dose finding studies in which we try to see which are we try 2-3 doses of the drug which we feel will be effective for the patient. And they are done in relatively larger number of patients. These are also called proof of concept studies. So they are close to 100 subjects. These are just numbers I'm giving you rough numbers. Yeah. Then they are phase 3 trials, which are the efficacy trials. Here we know which dose is effective and it is reaching the blood. Now, what is the effect? So how much effect it is producing? These are relatively large trials, phase 3 trials. They will have 500, 700 like these number of patients. And they will, we will see the endpoints in these patients. So relatively larger number of patients. And lastly are the phase 4 trials or the real world evidence studies. So in here, we don't select the patients. We see the effect of the drug in normal population. So they are using the drug, plus they have a lot of other comorbidities. They have hypertension, they have diabetes, and along with that, they have the disease for which they are taking the medicine. So what is the impact, how it is interacting with other drugs? What is the impact of other disease on that? Phase 4 trials, these are large studies, few thousands of subjects are involved, and these are post approval. So these are the general 4 phases of study: phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4.
Right. Ma'am, for all the normal crowd which will be listening to that, like, how much time does it take from an idea in the laboratory for it to reach the first patient?
And these are, 10 years. And in that also, clinical studies or preclinical studies, if they take no time for any reason, so it can be longer only, but 10 years is the minimum duration it takes. For clinical phases 1 to 4. And preclinical plus the laboratory research, it all adds up like 12 to 14 years also we can see.
मैम तो अगर 10 साल से मतलब कर रहा है वो तो फेल भी हो सकता है.
Yeah, there are quite a few drugs which fail in this. Like the percentage is less only. I would say how many clinical trials happen. So I would say very few, like 10-20% of all the clinical trials, all the molecules that reach to the patient stage, they stop at various stages for various reasons, which is for the good of the people only.
तो companies must be trying ना, just I'm thinking out aloud, companies must be trying ना कि जो भी clinical trial में medicine गया है, उसको किसी तरीके से भी पेशेंट तक पहुंचा दें, तो उसमें करप्शन भी मतलब होता है या फिर जैसे?
करप्शन क्या होता है? करप्शन कम होता है मुझे लगता है, बिकॉज द कंपनीज विल नॉट ट्राई, देर आर द इंटरनेशनल लॉज और द वेरियस लॉज आर लाइक दैट पेशेंट सेफ्टी इज एट utmost priority. So, there are a lot of ways where there are various checks for patient safety. First, like we design a protocol for any trial. So,
Hmm.
in that we will justify. So that protocol will be made by consulting various doctors. There will be various doctors involved. It is a human trial. So various doctors will be involved. The various scientists will be involved. They will make it. Then they will go to the site. There is ethics committee, independent ethics committee associated with each and every hospital where the patient is going to be enrolled. So that hospital has to approve that protocol. Yeah, this is fine, and my patient safety is not affected by this. So then there is a PI, the principal investigator involved, who will actually give that trial medicine to the patients. So even he has a risk because his patients are coming directly. So he doesn't want to lose his patients. So again, patient safety, there are a lot of ethical practices. So there are and then in between we have to do regulatory checks. If the trial is for FDA, trial is for EMA, trial is for DCGI, the Indian regulatory. So these regulatories will have lot of checks. So they will ensure at each step that the patient safety is of utmost priority. There is minimum risk to the patient and maximum benefit to the patient. We have to take some risk, because otherwise no trial will happen and then no new medicines can come. So with minimal risk, what is the maximum benefit possible? So there are a lot of mechanisms to ensure this. And nowadays it doesn't happen, like very few, the death due to the drug is very rare. It is it is caught in the previous stages, on the preclinical stages. Various other ways we can identify that.
Right, ma'am. And how do you decide that, who should be a participant in a particular trial?
Okay, so this is like the eligibility criteria.
Yeah.
So whenever we have to start a trial, we have to make a protocol. In that protocol, there is a specific section for inclusion criteria, exclusion criteria. So there will be a few inclusion criteria. Suppose it's a diabetes trial. So patients should have diabetes. There should be the value of HbA1c. There should be the fasting glucose. You should be taking these drugs. These oral antibiotics are allowed. These oral antidiabetics are not allowed. So like that, there will be a list. So there is very specific inclusion criteria. And there is a long list of exclusion criteria also. Most of them are like, some are general, some are study specific. So like that, there are exclusion criteria. In diabetes also, this particular drug, if he's taking, I'm just taking the same example, then this patient is not allowed. If his HbA1c is more than this, we don't want. If he has a diabetic neuropathy, nephropathy or anything, we will not allow. So like that, there are clear-cut defined ways. And some general criteria, age will be there, 18 to 65 we will take. So age is defined, weight is defined, BMI is defined. So if the person is not falling in that exact inclusion, exclusion criteria, which is there in the protocol, everything is listed, the protocol is approved by various people. So only then we start the trial. So, and then the process is, once everything is approved, the site is ready, the patient will come, the site will take all the data. The PI, the principal investigator, will ensure that everything is met, inclusion, exclusion, all the criteria. Usually around 25 to 30, at least so many criteria are there. So they will ensure age, weight, sex, everything is falling, all inclusion, all exclusion are met. Then they will say, I feel the patient is approved, and they will put a tick on all the criteria and they will send it to the medical monitor. Now, medical monitor is from the CRO side. So and now the molecule belongs to the medical monitor, and medical monitor is CRO, and CRO is working for the sponsor. So CRO is facilitating the drug. Principal investigator is treating the physician. So he will check all that. Then all that criteria will come to medical monitor. Then the medical monitor will also ensure that everything is proper, because the protocol is made by the medical monitor. So she will check. It will also go to the sponsor at times. They will also check that all their criteria are met. So when all these three checks are done, after that a patient is enrolled into the trial. And that is what we call randomization. And there are two visits for the patient. One is the screening visit, one is the randomization visit. Screening visit, the patient will come, he will give all these blood samples and all the answers. And then when the reports come and everything is fine, then the patient will come for randomization and the baseline visit. So this is how we decide the eligibility criteria for the patient.
हम इसमें पेशेंट डर नहीं जाता, उसको लगता होगा पता नहीं मेरे साथ मेडिसिन
कि पेशेंट को आके अपना ब्लड टेस्ट देना है, और अपना नॉर्मल उसका हेल्थ चेकअप होगा. इट इज फॉर द पेशेंट इट इज ओनली दिस मच, बट व्हेन वी एनालाइज द रिपोर्ट्स वी चेक अ लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स. डॉक्टर से
मैम ये जो मेडिकल मॉनिटर होता है, does she work for the sponsor or she is a neutral person?
Wow, okay. So medical monitor is usually working for the CRO. The CRO is Clinical Research Organization. Now they are hired by the sponsor companies to ensure the trial is executed well. The
Hmm.
sponsor has the molecule. They have all the details of the molecule. But for executing a clinical trial, they will hire a third party, which is called CRO, Clinical Research Organization, and they will have a medical monitor.
Okay.
So it is the medical monitor who will, medical monitor will interact both with the sponsor as well as the PI at the site. So medical monitor is interacting with both. They are interacting with the sponsor and with the sites, the principal investigator who is actually treating the physician, like that.
That is being paid by the sponsor or is that
CR is
like?
paid by the sponsor. नहीं, कोई भी ऐसा नहीं करता है. CR is for execution. Sponsor, अब जैसे कि स्पॉन्सर एक कंपनी एक कंट्री में एक जगह पे होती है, जो साइट्स लिए जाते हैं वो थेरेपी एरिया से दे सेट कहाँ पेशेंट्स ज्यादा हैं, कैसे हैं, तो और उनसे कांटेक्ट स्पॉन्सर का कभी कभी नहीं होता है. सो दे ब्रिंग इन दिस CROs. So their job is to have connection with all the sites in whatever regions they have expertise, in whatever therapy areas they have expertise. So that is the reason a CRO comes into the pictures. It is a usual process. Most of the sponsors will outsource their CRO to a CRO. Then the CRO will contact the sites and they don't whatever protocol etc. is made. I told you, there are various checks of ensuring patient safety. Nothing happens like that.
I got it, ma'am. And ma'am, how do you identify safety signals across these thousands of data points? Like,
so we have predefined points like see, there are various safeties. Like first is protocol development. When we develop the protocol, that said, it's that stage itself, we define lot of things. It has all the necessary information. What all we need for inclusion, for exclusion, we will define in great depth.
Yeah.
So these are that we will do. Then during this conduct phase of the trial, what all we need to do. What are the lab tests we need to do with all the details, the schedule of assessment, visit 1, visit 2, visit 3, like week 1, week 2, week 3, patient will come, we will take these blood samples, we will store them, we will analyze them, when the results will come, we will do an entry analysis in between. So all that will happen. And during the course of the trial, that usually we have the adverse events review. What are the adverse events patient has experienced during the course of the trial? If there is anything, so how do we analyze the adverse event? What was the start date of the event? When did the event end? What was the causality? Why did the event happen? What was the severity? How grade 1, grade 2? What was the severity? What was the outcome? Is the event resolved, not resolved? Did it progress into a serious adverse event? So these are all the parameters which we see. This is about adverse events during the conduct phase. Then we will look at medical history. What all medical histories patient had. So we will give what is it eligible, not eligible, all that we will check. Then is there any medical history which has caused the adverse event? Is that the cause? So we will analyze all this data. Then what are the conmeds? What are the medications that the patient was taking, the patient is taking during the conduct of the trial? Are there any medications which are prohibited during the trial? So all that we will analyze. So adverse event, conmeds, medical history, vitals. For each patient visit, the vitals will be checked before dosing, after dosing. So we will have pulse, BP, respiratory rate, heart rate, temperature. All this will be checked twice for each visit. So we will see are there any parameters which are affected. So like that we will see adverse event, conmeds, medical history, vitals, labs. Labs will be analyzed at regular intervals. What is happening to lipids, depending upon what is the therapy area and trials involved, what is happening to the liver function test, glomerular function test, is anything getting affected. So like that, we will cover everything. Are the study specific findings? Suppose it's a diabetes trial, what is happening to HbA1c, what is happening to fasting blood glucose? Are there any diabetic ketoacidosis? Is there any hyperglycemic event, hypoglycemic event? So like that, we will monitor throughout the study. So, and everything is defined in the protocol, how the patient safety will be monitored. We make a medical monitoring plan for that. So in that, we will we will write, this is the parameter we are going to monitor at this frequency. And This is how and the medical monitoring meetings happen at regular intervals. So the medical monitor has to present the data to the sponsor that in this 1 month, there are 10 new adverse events. None of them are related to this study, and none of them has taken prohibited combat medication. There are no serious adverse events. So this is for 1 month, and this happens every month. Usually, it is monthly frequency. So every month, such meetings will happen, and all the medical data will be analyzed, reviewed, presented to the sponsor and other important people until the end of the study. Now, in between, there is DSMB, Data Safety Monitoring Board. There is the Safety Monitoring Boards. So sometimes these KOLs, key opinion leaders, they are there. They are or the senior scientific doctors of the community. So they have some publications in that therapy area. So they are also part of the clinical trial. So we say like someone 25% of recruitment will happen. They will present the data to Data Safety Monitoring Board. So that group of specialized doctors who are extremely specialist in that therapy area, in that clinical trial. So they will review all the data. All the data will be medical data will be presented to them. And they will look at the data. They will give they will look what are the possible risks, what things are not doing proper, what can be improved. They will again look at the patient data and they will give their input. So a lot of trials plan for these DSMBs also. So again, so that is an additional committee formed just to look at the safety data. When there is interim analysis, lot of trials, they don't wait for the end of the trial, 2 years, 3 years like that. They have interim analysis at 50% patient recruitment, 6 months, or whatever duration decided. So even at that stage, everything will be analyzed. So there are a lot of ways of checking that patient safety is monitored regularly till the end of the trial. In fact, even at the end of the trial, after the trial gets over, please follow up. We make phone calls to ensure, like, after the trial is over, patient has stopped taking the medicine. Usually 1 month, 2 month follow-ups are very common, and sometimes they are long-term follow-up. Gene therapy and all, the checks are very, very long. So they follow for longer period. The safety follow-up is very long. So like that follow-ups happen with the patient.
And ma'am, you know, while you mentioned so many parameters that are being seen while a trial is going on, but जो critical decision है कि इस medicine को आगे ले जाना है कि नहीं, what are those important parameters like इसमें सब में से?
तो इसको हम बोलते हैं स्टॉपिंग क्राइटेरिया. ट्रायल कब स्टॉप करनी है वो पहले से डिफाइंड होता है. सपोज वी हैव अ सीरियस एडवर्स इवेंट. अब एडवर्स इवेंट सीरियस है, उसके भी 6 क्राइटेरिया है, वो डिफाइंड है. अब अगर वो रिलेटेड सीरियस एडवर्स है, मतलब एक तो सीरियस है इवेंट, वो रिलेटेड टू द ड्रग है, चाहे प्रिंसिपल इन्वेस्टिगेटर ने बोल दिया या डीएसएमबी से आ गया, कहीं से भी आ गया कि ये सीरियस एडवर्स इवेंट, जैसे कि हॉस्पिटलाइजेशन इज अ सीरियस एडवर्स इवेंट. सो पेशेंट इज हॉस्पिटलाइज बिकॉज ऑफ द ट्रायल ड्रग, then we have to stop the trial, चाहे जो हो जाए. So like that, we have defined criteria in the protocol when to stop the trial. So if any of those criteria are met, the trial is stopped.
Got it. Ma'am, we also hear about these terms like biosimilars and vaccines तो बहुत सारे लोगों ने सुना होगा. So what exactly are biosimilars and why they are important?
तो वो केमिकल मॉलिक्यूल्स के लिए जेनेरिक्स आर लाइक उस तरह का वो केमिकल, क्योंकि रिसर्च तो हो चुकी है, सबको पता है इट इज इफेक्टिव. तो वंस द पेटेंट इज एक्सपायर्ड, लॉट ऑफ अदर कंपनीज कैन कम एंड मेक सिमिलर ड्रग. उसमें उनका पेटेंट जा चुका है, तो अब जेनेरिक्स बहुत सारे लोग चीपर, कॉस्टेबल, रीजनेबली गुड, द क्वालिटी इज ऑल्सो गुड, उसमें कोई बात नहीं है. So these are generics, but now with their antibodies, तो जो मोनोक्लोनल एंटीबॉडीज हो, जो बायोलॉजिकल ड्रग हो, तो उनका जो है जेनेरिक नहीं, वो केमिकल एंटिटी नहीं, लिविंग ऑर्गेनिज्म से बनती बायोलॉजिक्स होती है, उनका जो मोनोक्लोनल एंटीबॉडी का जेनेरिक होता है उसे बायोसिमिलर कहते हैं. मतलब दे आर नॉट केमिकल एंटिटीज, दे आर मोनोक्लोनल एंटीबॉडीज. ओरिजिनल ड्रग इज नॉट अ केमिकल एंटिटी. उनका जो जेनेरिक होता है वो biosimilar होता है. So they are produced in biological systems and they are similar to the original drug, original monoclonal antibody.
Right.
Bio, they are produced in living cells and similar to the original antibody, so they are biosimilars.
तो मतलब ये वैक्सीन्स टाइप का हो गया क्या मैम? लाइक
नहीं, वैक्सीन बहुत अलग होती है. ये जेनरिक जैसे,
ये जेनरिक मेडिसिन हुआ, बट इसमें ये डिफरेंस है कि ये बेसिकली मतलब एनिमल
लिविंग ऑर्गेनिजम्स में लिविंग सेल्स में प्रोड्यूस होती है, इसलिए बायो वर्ड और सिमिलर टू द ओरिजिनल ड्रग. या
Got it. तो अभी मैं आई मेट ए वेरी सीनियर लीडर, तो उन्होंने बोला कि कोविड-19 के बाद सब लोग बहुत ग्रेटफुल हो गए थे अपनी लाइफ को लेके कि हाँ यार, मुझे लाइफ मिली है, मेरे को अच्छे से जीना है. अभी फिर 5-6 साल हो गए, अब सब फिर अनग्रेटफुल हो रहे हैं। तो मैम ये जो कोविड-19 का दौर था जिसमें आपने देखा, मतलब व्हाट वेयर द लेसन्स डिड कोविड-19 एरा टीच द क्लिनिकल रिसर्च इंडस्ट्री?
वन थिंग इज उसको फास्ट अप्रूवल बोलते हैं, इमरजेंसी अप्रूवल वरना यूजुअली दिस अप्रूवल्स टेक लॉट ऑफ टाइम। बट अब क्या हमें लगा है कि इफ देर इज ए नीड, देर इज अ फास्ट ट्रैक रहता है। एफडीए ईमा उनको ज्यादा जल्दी देखते हैं, जल्दी उनका डेटा रिव्यू किया जाता है और
हाँ।
फास्ट डेटा कलेक्ट रिव्यू होता है। तो वो फास्ट ट्रैक उन्होंने चालू किया, विच इज वेरी हेल्पफुल। आई थिंक द सिमिलर थिंग इज हैपनिंग फॉर इबोला, जो कोंगो में।
हम्म,
सो देयर आर लॉट ऑफ वैक्सीन कैंडिडेट्स कमिंग अप एज कुछ ट्राई हो रहा है। सो इस अ फास्ट पेस में विद इन अ फ्यू मंथ्स द वैक्सीन विल बी रेडी। सो दैट प्रोसेस जो है उनके इसकी वजह से, कोरोना की वजह से, कि दे हैव स्टार्टेड रिव्यूइंग फास्ट एंड दैट प्रोसेस, उनका कोई भी एपिडेमिक आता है, कोई भी वायरल एपिडेमिक आया, so they try to make the vaccine very fast. That is the biggest good advantage for clinical development.
मतलब कि उससे फायदा हुआ, ट्रायल्स थोड़े फास्ट हो रहे हैं।
हाँ, we have learned from that. So we have understood we can handle emergency like that.
Since in this entire trial thing, the quality of data is very important. Like what is the data being collected and how it is being collected. तो कभी कभी ऐसा भी हुआ है, आपने देखा होगा कि डेटा क्वालिटी इज कॉम्प्रोमाइज्ड?
Now, data compliance, there is this ICA GCP, International Conference of Harmonization, Good Clinical Practices की guidelines है, which is what we follow. So there is lot of things about data integrity. Everything is mentioned. How should the data be? Integrity के ऊपर बहुत सारी चीजें होती हैं, and there are a lot of checks. If you see in a sponsor setup, या even a CRO setup, there is data management is a separate team. वो अपना ईडीसी से डेटा आता है, इलेक्ट्रॉनिक डेटा कैप। कई जगह साइट्स होती है, वहां पे पेशेंट का डेटा एंटर किया जाता है, फिर कहीं और के डॉक्टर बैठ के वो सब डेटा सिस्टम पे रिव्यू करते हैं, फिर वो सब डेटा बाद में एनालाइज किया जाता है। तो हर स्टेप पे वो डेटा इंटीग्रेटिंग होनी चाहिए। तो उसके बहुत सारे गाइडलाइंस हैं और देयर इज अ सेपरेट टीम दैट डेटा फ्लो शुड बी वेरी गुड, तो पूरा एंश्योर किया जाता है। तो दैट इज हाउ इट इज।
मैम ये जो रेगुलेटर्स हैं एफडीए और डीसीजीआई, how do they evaluate safety? Like what is their role?
What is their role? Like they will look at the when we finish the trial, we write everything about the trial in CSR, Clinical Study Report. तो उसमें हम बोलते हैं कि हमने ये वाले पेशेंट्स लिए, इंक्लूजन ये एक्सक्लूजन था, ये हमने एंड पॉइंट्स मेजर किए हैं इतनी देर के बाद। लेने से पहले ट्रायल चालू करने से हमें उन्हें बताना पड़ता है कि ये हम प्लान कर रहे हैं और ऐसा हम करने जा रहे हैं। और जब ट्रायल खत्म हो जाती है के साथ लिखना पड़ता है कि हमने ये ट्रायल खत्म की और ये हमारे रिजल्ट आए थे, तो अब आप फिर से उसको एनालाइज करिए। कैसे एंश्योर करते हैं? जब ट्रायल प्लान होती है तो साइंटिफिक एडवाइस लिखा जाता है। जब प्लान किया जा रहा है, फर्स्ट स्टेप इज टू राइट द साइंटिफिक एडवाइस। तो मैं मेजर पॉइंट्स, इतना ड्यूरेशन रहेगा ट्रायल का, इतने पेशेंट लेंगे तो स्टैटिस्टिकल जस्टिफिकेशन, ड्यूरेशन इतने मंथ्स की रहेगी या इतने ईयर्स की रहेगी, तो क्यों आप ऐसा बोल रहे हैं, और क्या मैकेनिज्म ऑफ एक्शन है, उसका जस्टिफिकेशन, और क्या आपके एंड पॉइंट है, कौन सा एंड पॉइंट आप चेक करेंगे। तो इस तरह के मेजर पॉइंट्स हमें पहले ही साइंटिफिक एडवाइस में, फिर वो साइंटिफिक एडवाइस के बाद वो अप्रूव बाद प्रोटोकॉल लिखा जाता है, उसके बाद ट्रायल रन की जाती है, और जो रिजल्ट आता है वो भी हमको रेगुलेटरी को सबमिट कर, फिर वो रिजल्ट एनालाइज करते हैं। काफी मॉलिक्यूल उसमें भी फेल हो जाते हैं, रिजल्ट में खुद ही फेल हो जाते हैं। जो उन्होंने बोला दे कांट प्रूव दैट। हर चीज को प्रूव करने के लिए स्टैटिस्टिकल डेटा लगता है कि इतने पेशेंट का इतने % से ऊपर आएगा तो हमारी ट्रायल पास है। कभी कभी वो नहीं होती है तो अपने आप ही ट्रायल फेल हो गई है। तो ऐसे वो सब डेटा फिर से वो एनालाइज करते हैं और उसके बाद अप्रूवल आता है रेगुलेटरी से कि अगर सब ठीक है तो आपकी ट्रायल पास है, ऐसा वो बोलेंगे। ये कैन इम्प्रूव अ लॉट, मुझे तो लगता है, बिकॉज जितना फर्स्ट रेफरेंसिंग और it has become very easy to get scientific information, and it is so whether it is about the molecule inclusion, if you want to reference many articles, what are the important publications in this therapy area for this drug, everything comes together. The literature search जो वर्क होता था पहले मेडिकल मॉनिटर का या मेडिकल साइंटिस्ट का, वो
Yes.
काफी आसान हो गया है मुझे लगता है इन सब टूल्स के साथ।
Right.
So it has helped us a lot. It has made it very speedy, and everything can be checked. If you feel, sometimes I feel some references, if you ask 10 things to ChatGPT, 1 or 2 things will be wrong. So we have to cross check everything. That work remains, but still more or less it is very helpful, whether it is Gemini, ChatGPT or Claude, whatever. Yeah.
मैम you come with an early experience in microbiology,
Yes.
and how has it shaped your perspective on patient safety as such?
Yeah. So as a microbiologist, I worked as a consultant microbiologist for almost 10 years. So I had more experience in infectious diseases. So
Hmm.
I looked into major work was in bacteriology.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I looked into bacteriology, virology, serology, mycobacteriology, that's tuberculosis, HIV,
Huh.
fungus, mycology. So these are the major divisions which I was looking at. So I had an experience with the infectious patients. So, how to treat sepsis, what is multi-organ failure, how to treat fever, what are the various type of infection, urinary tract infections, what are the antibiotic sensitive, what are the antibiotics resistance. So these are the kind of work I worked in both hospitals and labs. So that way I had a very good experience with diagnosing the infectious condition and some idea about the treatment also. So that experience was very good and it helps in clinical trials also because there are a lot of, initially I started because of this microbiology experience. I started with vaccines and immunology. I worked in vaccines and immunology clinical trials for almost 5 years straight. After that, I moved to other therapy areas also in clinical trials.
Ma'am, do you think that आपका जो experience था frontline healthcare experience, it has translated into a better clinical development decisions that you're making right now?
Yes, certainly. It helps a lot because you need to understand something very nicely. Like if you understand one guideline, you studied it in your post graduation, you know the infectious disease guideline, you
Hmm.
know how things work. So even if you change the therapy area after 6, 7 years, you know that there are so many guidelines, so many things are available, what the experts are talking, then you can connect with them. But at least one subject you should know very properly. So that therapy area experience helps initially to start your things. Yeah.
I'm also, want to hear from you, how will AI transform clinical trials in the next 10 years, say, or 5 years?
AI has a very good scope and future for clinical trials. I'm not an expert in that, but whatever possible as a person, I mean, what is there, I can use on my laptop. I try to use a lot of things. I'm also trying to get some formal training in AI and learn good things.
Yeah.
But then I told you there are a lot of ways because at least the literature search, or those things have become a lot of information is available in a what I should say the program and good way you can see the information.
Yes.
So it helps a lot overall. Yeah.
Ma'am, now we'll have a rapid fire round with you. And in this rapid fire round, there is one rule is that you should not extend it beyond one line. So every question has to be answered in one line. So the first question, ma'am, is that one medical myth you wish people would stop believing in.
Cancer can be cured with tulsi ka patta and haldi. It can be cured. These are all supportive things. But it's not that easy.
Ma'am, the second one is that one breakthrough that you are most excited about.
Oral insulin. Like insulin is going on since almost 80 years, 100 years now. So that is injectable form. People are taking subcutaneous insulin.
Yeah.
So now a lot of companies are trying to come up with oral insulin. I'm also part of one such trial. So that is something I'm very much looking forward. So I'm sure in some years people will be taking the insulin orally and the type 1 diabetics also and all type of diabetics. So it stops them from having that injection pain. It is something I'm looking forward to.
Next question is that what is the most underrated skill in clinical research?
Underrated. I mean, no skill is underrated. uh, you don't find people for doing any kind of work, and there's so much demand. Everybody is so much demand.
So all the skills are underrated. Okay, we'll move on to the next question, ma'am.
Okay.
AI in healthcare, is it more of an opportunity or a risk?
Opportunity.
One habit that
Opportunity.
one habit that makes great researchers stand out.
Reading.
Reading. One piece of advice that you would like to give to all the young doctors.
The young doctors. Be part of some clinical trial surely in your therapy area sometime in your life. So you see actual research happening. Yeah.
After spending years ensuring patient safety in hospitals, diagnostics, and global clinical trials, if I ask you that one thing that you wish every patient understood about modern medicine, what would that be?
It is evidence-based medicine. So they have to rely. They should rely on modern medicine, and side effects are there. but whatever they are known side effects, they will be told to the patient, but there is efficacy also.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for joining us on this podcast and sharing all these insights with our audience. And guys, you know, every medicine has got a story, and behind every safe treatment, there are countless professionals like Dr. Pallavi who are working tirelessly to protect patients long before the prescription is written. Thank you so much, ma'am, for sharing your insights and joining us and taking out your time.
Thank you, Rishikesh. Thank you.